How many times do you complete something just right in just one try? Very frequently, the first draft is not the final draft, and some revisions are made to better the product. Those behind some of the biggest Hollywood productions know this all too well, as reshoots have become a main staple of the industry. After completing principal photography and reviewing the footage, directors will reassemble their team to work on new material. Whenever word of pickups become public, fans start to fear for the worst and think something could be wrong with the movie.
Don't say a word.
But that isn't always the case. Here are 10 movie reshoots that saved popular movies. If you like what you see, be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to catch more videos.
Is he talking to me? He's talking to you.
The Avengers. Joss Whedon's first Avengers movie is full of memorable moments that made it a standout in the superhero genre, but one of the funniest was a very late addition in the process. The now famous second post-credits scene features Earth's mightiest dining on shawarma in New York following their big battle. Whedon thought it would be a fun bit to add toward the end of editing, and with the cast back together for the movie's premiere, the actors quickly shot it so it could be included in the theatrical release. The button scene was only a minor part of the Avengers, but it's hard to picture the movie without this little cherry on top. E.T. the Extra Terrestrial. Steven Spielberg's beloved sci-fi classic is noteworthy for its emotional conclusion that tugs at the heartstrings to this day. But originally, the ending was far, far more tragic. An early test screening of the Best Picture nominee had E.T. die while in the government facility, and he never came back to life. Audiences were very upset by this turn of events and hated the film, which pushed Spielberg to revise the third act so E.T. was resurrected and went back home in the final scene. Reshoots were arranged and the film was all the better for it. It's now a timeless family classic. Rocky. The original Rocky film was shot on a minimal budget, which means it couldn't sport the production values of its many sequels. This was readily apparent to Sylvester Stallone when he viewed the original ending, which saw Rocky crowd surf triumphantly after his fight against Apollo Creed. The scene wasn't convincing, since there weren't enough extras on set to support Stallone. He went back to reshoot it using whatever friends and family Stallone could find to populate the boxing ring. The result was a touching moment between Rocky and Adrian, one that ended the film on a powerful and resonant note. World War Z. The adaptation of Max Brooks' novel was plagued by various production woes, with producer and star Brad Pitt calling the first wave of shooting atrocious. The third act in particular was difficult to figure out, since the filmmakers were torn between setting up future sequels and designing a more self-contained conclusion. World War Z's finale was the product of reshoots, featuring a number of tense sequences in a WHO building as Pitt and others search for a cure. In the end, the film proved to be a commercial success, and grossed enough to warrant a follow-up that will explore the zombie war further. It'll be interesting to see if the sequel goes smoother than the original. Thor: The Dark World. The second solo Thor movie is considered one of the weaker entries in the MCU, but it still has its fair share of entertaining moments. Many of these come courtesy of Loki, so fans will be happy to know that the Thor 2 team made sure to include him as much as possible. During reshoots, several key Loki scenes were added, including the villain being sentenced to prison by Odin in the God of Mischief's fun shape-shifting where he impersonates Captain America in front of Thor. Loki is without question the best antagonist in the entire franchise, so it'd be hard to go wrong with more of them. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. When Edgar Wright was filming this cult classic, the comic book on which it was based wasn't completed yet, which meant he had to toy around with his own ideas at points. It was up to Wright to give the story an ending, and he originally felt it would be for the best if Scott decided to stay with knives instead of pursuing Ramona. The conclusion was shot and screened for test audiences, who didn't like the fact that the protagonist spent the entire film fighting for Ramona's affection, only to turn her away. Wright went back and reshot an ending where Scott and Ramona become a couple, which was used in the final cut. Jaws. The original summer blockbuster had a troubled journey to the big screen. Since filming on water presented numerous challenges for Steven Spielberg, the mechanical shark was a nightmare to work with, as it frequently sank and malfunctioned. The original script for Jaws called for the shark to be featured frequently on camera, but Spielberg couldn't get the necessary shots. After viewing his initial footage, Spielberg altered the plan so that the shark would barely be on screen, which gave Jaws a Hitchcockian vibe that thrilled audiences. He added more to the moments that worked well in reshoots, and the rest is history. Back to the Future. Michael J. Fox was always the top choice for Marty McFly, but scheduling conflicts due to his commitments to family ties prevented him from signing on. Eric Stoltz was cast instead, but early on in production, director Robert Zemeckis knew the actor wasn't the right fit. Stoltz was given an intense performance that clashed with the lightheartedness of the tone. Fox was approached again, and the actor planned out a schedule that allowed him to make the movie and still star in the TV show.
It's an absolute dream.
Production had to start from scratch, but it was worth it in the end when Fox completely embodied Marty. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Michael Bay has an interesting relationship with moviegoers, since not all are a fan of his approach to beloved properties like Transformers and TMNT. When the Bay-produced reboot of The Heroes in a Half Shell was in production, the project made waves due to the casting of Caucasian actor William Fichtner as the Turtles' arch nemesis Shredder. That would have been a substantial departure from the source material, and viewers wanted to see a Japanese thespian in the role. In reshoots, the movie was changed so that Shredder was played by Tohiro Masamune, while Fichtner became a mere underling. TMNT was still panned by most critics, but things weren't as bad as they could have been. Star Wars: The Force Awakens. One of Episode 7's standout moments is the lightsaber duel between Rey and Kylo Ren, and some of its most memorable bits were reshoots. In his audio commentary on the Blu-ray, J.J. Abrams revealed that Rey's self-reflection before she lashes out at Kylo was added in pickups to give the scene something more emotionally powerful. Also, a quick shot of Rey looking fierce right before stabbing her opponent was added in reshoots, at the suggestion of Selma director Ava DuVernay. The Force Awakens was probably great before these additions, but they gave the final product another element, and it's impossible to envision the duel without them. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. This past summer, many became concerned about the potential quality of Lucasfilm's first Star Wars anthology film when it was revealed the project underwent extensive reshoots. Bourne screenwriter Tony Gilroy was brought on board to rewrite the script and oversee the post-production alongside director Gareth Edwards, and became an integral part of the team. Fans were nervous about what to expect, but all the pickups seemed to have paid off. During the Rogue One press junket, members of the media saw 28 minutes of footage, and the response was very positive. It may not be the full movie, but that's highly encouraging to hear. Well, those are just some of the instances where reshoots improve the film. Are there any we missed? Which ones are your favorites? Sound off in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe.